everyone. I have a super random and impromptu live with my parents. Yay! Okay, so this came about because I left a comment on a video once about how when I was growing up, my family did people's court and it was just a norm in our household. And so I wanted to share this because if you're somebody who is parenting if you're somebody who's parenting very opinionated children and maybe you're thinking about solutions on how to do it, I want to share our solution. I think of all of my siblings, I'm probably the one who's actually a fan of people's court, so that's why I'm here to share it with you. I don't know, I thought it was super effective. So I'll explain from the child's perspective what people's court seemed like to me. So when we were younger, if there was any kind of grievance in the household, if there was an issue, maybe the kids were upset at something that the fellow children were doing or that the parents were doing, it was our way of coming and presenting our issues to our parents and being like, this is what's going on. As a kid, I remember that the only rules were that you just had to be respectful and share what was on your heart and, present your case essentially. And then your parents could then respond, but you weren't allowed to get beat for the thing that you said. No. So you could say it respectfully, but you wouldn't get any repercussions. So I wanted to ask my parents, first of all, we're Nigerian is the background. We're Nigerian, and it's very, very rare to have Nigerian kids say that they have any kind of conversation with their parents like this. So I could tell when I got older that it was something really rare that my parents did. So Mom and Dad, where did that even come from? People's court, why did you feel like it was a thing to do with your family? First of all, we have 5 kids. 5 kids, 2 adults. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you for bringing up my leg again. You are always doing that. Yes, we've a family of 7 at that time. And one thing that I didn't like in life is gang up. I hate it when 2 sets of people are pitched against one another, to saying things, behind their back or maybe just grumbling. We never allow that. We will say, speak up. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that started me thinking as a father was one incident at home. Back when we were in Nigeria, I was in Lagos with them. And I used to travel, and because of the Lagos traffic situation, sometimes by the time I come back to the house, they are asleep. And then I woke up, and I'm gone, and by the time they're awake. So my son, my late son, one day said something to me that really affected me. It was a Saturday, and I now called him, I said, TJ. And he looked at me, and he was angry, visibly angry. He said, Dad, wake up, go to work, come back, sleep, wake up. He said that, and it was very coherent, but I understood what he was saying. I was traveling and leaving them alone and things like that. So that communication was not there. And one thing that we tried to put out to the family was that we are in a unique situation. Mm-hmm. A unique situation that 5 of the children came from this woman. Everybody went, so when our house is closed, just the 7 of us. So everybody has a voice, something to say. So one day I was discussing with the mother, and I said, look, we remember that People's Court. And when we were in the US, before we had the children, there was a program that called People's Court, where people would come and bring out with grievance and before a judge, and every people would now look at it. And the jury was the whole congregation, and everybody had that mind. I said, why don't we put that? My wife said, great idea, but mistake. Go ahead.
What was mistake? It was good. Yeah, like you said, People's Court. We wanted. My own story was my father was a headmaster, very strict,
like a principal
in Nigeria. So he was the man that everybody feared. And we feared him too. So it was like that. So, but when we grew up, when I went to secondary school, which is high school, he wanted us to now come out and be talking. But you had trained us not to talk. So how do you expect us to talk now? And so me, when I was in college, he would call me when his friends came, hey, come and air your opinion. So I was about the only one in my family that could talk to him and air some of my views. So that coupled with our decision made People's Court the thing, one thing that we wanted our family to be, our children to air their views. And he said he mistake because, sorry, most of the time the children were right. And
Say it again for the people in the back. Most of the time, the children were right.
Yes. Either he was too strict, and one thing they always pray, please don't, Lord, help my parents not to yell. And so,
And in their defense, they actually, for parents, period, but especially for Nigerian parents, they rarely yelled.
Yeah.
But because of People's Court, we got so used to airing out our grievances in a very diplomatic way.
Yeah.
Anyone who's ever met me and my siblings, we all, if we have an issue, we can calmly get our points across without yelling, calling each other out of our names, because I really credit it to People's Court because we were able to sit down and talk through things. And the gift that my parents gave me is that even now, see, as I'm talking and nobody's talking over me, all of my childhood, all of us, if we brought something to People's Court, any child could call People's Court. We could be at dinner and something happened and then someone's like, wait till People's Court. They don't even finish arguing. They're like, I'll remember this and I'll bring it up in People's Court. And they just kind of hold their peace until People's Court. And then People's Court, it's like, I'm going to read you my riot act. This is why I was upset about this thing. And I appreciated that People's Court was this place where you can say, you did this thing and it hurt me, or, I thought it was unfair. Especially, I'm the middle child. So I'd be like, you treated the older kids this way and this happened to the little kids. I was a big advocate. Yes. Nobody asked me to call People's Court half the time. I'd be like, that's not fair. We should call People's Court. And my siblings would be like, it's not that serious. And I'd be like, no, we should have it. And the example that stuck out to me is that me and my older sister didn't go to prom. It's just, we didn't even really care. But my younger siblings wanted to go to homecoming. And I was in student government at the time in college. And I wrote an actual request that was government style. Yes. That was given that they are twins and they have an accountability system kind of set up in there. They're going to look out for each other and they're going to do all these things. And my parents said yes, and they went to homecoming.
Well, agreed. They
agreed. They're like, okay, you made some good points. We can see why. I wish someone would have advocated for me. But at the end of the day, my siblings were like, homecoming wasn't even fun. And I was like, that's not the point. You got to go, and that's how People's Court works.
And then for those of us who are thinking about this, especially
yes,
be careful of what you ask for, because you're going to your capacity will be tested.
Yeah.
As a parent, it will be tested. But the thing is, where the ground rules are set is fine. I was lucky. My father used to tell me something. He said, one of the rules when I was growing up was that you make your point carefully, respectfully, and people will listen to you.
Yeah.
The second one was, while you are complaining or to relating something, you are not supposed to cry. Do all your crying, and then when it is time for you to present your matter, you present it with respect and carefully, completely, without interruption. So if you put some of these guardrails there, say you are not going to be spanked, you are going to be respectful, you are going to be listened to, and then the backbone is, if you are not balanced in the house, be ready that when the majority, because there's going to be a voting.
There is a vote, an actual vote.
At the end of the day, the jury is the family. So each time there was a vote, I know I was going to have it. And I lost almost.
Sometimes I took your side, but most times.
Vote, man. And when it comes to male-female issue, I think that, the only three of us would vote one time. Then these boys voted with the ladies. And I was there and said, what are you doing? But it was fun. But the thing is, the principle had to be set in there, and there should be fairness, equity. And this is for a family, that is the is the nursery for people to be democratic, and that you don't know it all.
Yeah.
You are a family, and there should be love. At the end of the day, when the vote is cast, as a father, whether I like it or not, so long as it's not going to break something,
Yeah.
we're ready to try. I try to leave my veto vote. As a father, I have the veto vote.
Yes.
But if it's not going to break something, if it's going to be a learning curve, even if I know that it's not right, the majority is not right, I try to swallow my pride and they let it win. Then at the next time, all that I ask of them is, okay, now we tried this, so please consider my side because you might make the same mistake. And they were graceful. So that to me brought joy, and I'm happy that, that when we were doing it was painful, but I can see among the children that, they have a democratic mind, and they'll be able to speak up without being afraid. They'll be able to speak with their husbands. They will be able to speak to their wives. And parents, they will be able to listen to their children. And that's really helped us.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's good.
Well, thank you. Because when we were doing it, I said, but whose side are you on? They said, no, I'm going to side with my kids because you are like this. And sometimes, the disagreement that we had, they are echoing it. And I said, okay, this is a lot of people from different sides, so maybe I might also have to mellow down. And, thanks for being brave to stand up. Because I know my character. I know my character is.
Yeah.
My own is the peace. Peace is not the absence of fight. In a family, if one person is oppressed and depressed because they are not being heard, that's not peace. That's fake peace. So my own is everybody come air. What is bothering you? Like if somebody is frowning and frowning, I say, what's the problem? You have people's court. Air it during people's court. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
So you can be free. So just be happy. Be joyful.
Yeah. I think it's also important to respect the different ways that people want to show up in your household, because I'm a very verbal processor. And so if something is going on, I want to talk it through so that I can understand what you're thinking. You can hear me. My mom and I are very similar in the way that we come to conflict, say it out and figure it out. My dad is very cerebral, and I have siblings that are cerebral and they would rather write out their grievances. So many times my sisters would slip a note under my parents' door and be like, "Dear Dad," and it was usually to my dad, "Dear Dad, this thing that you did made me very sad." And so we were cleaning the room and we found a note that they had written to my parents, and it was very well articulated. These are the points, these are the reasons, I love you, I understand what you're saying, but it still hurt my feelings. And I think it's helpful to name the feeling that you have, but also it helped a lot as a child to see your parents apologize to you. There's so many parents who pride themselves on never apologizing to their children, but my parents, if they were wrong about something, or even if they weren't wrong, if they were harsh in the way they delivered something, or if they said it in a way that their children were injured by, they would be like, okay, I had to do that thing. I'm sorry you were sad. I'm sorry that, I'm sorry that you felt bad about it. And, or, I'm sorry I hurt you. They would take accountability, but also be like, we had to do it because this and this. I never heard them say because I said so. It's never a thing. Because I'm the why person, but why? How come?
Yeah.
Why aren't we? And so they always had a reason for the why. So I would say of all of the kids, I personally enjoyed People's Court the most, to the point where I almost went to law school. I was like, oh, I think I like this.
Yeah.
And no, I actually don't.
Remember, we used to call you pocket lawyer.
Yes.
She was
I was
a
a pocket lawyer.
in our house.
Any topic I could just, but in my heart, I'm an advocate, and I didn't like to see any sibling of mine suffer.
Yeah.
So if I saw something, there have been times though where I felt like my siblings misunderstood my parents. And so if I could be a middle person in some way, I was always wanting to be that. But so yeah, I just say that to say, we're saying, if you ever want to do a People's Court, you have my dad's warning. Be mindful. You might be getting told off by some children. They'll say it respectfully, but they might read you and you might be like, they're right.
But the benefits
Yeah.
are there.
Outweighs the pain. The pain is a matter of ego.
Yeah.
It's a matter of ego. So long as Me, the way I was telling somebody the other day, say ego and arrogance are like a nail or a pin and a balloon.
Oh.
They said the balloon, the pin would burst the balloon. Arrogance would burst the ego. So just humble yourself. You know, they might be kids at this moment, but they're going to be adults. They will remember. And you know, you remember some things 5 years, when you were 5 years, 4 years, and think about it. And the memories, you know, so when you have to deal with children, your people, you know, be sincere, swallow, it won't hurt their parents.
Yeah.
They will not disown you. So own up. If there is a fault, you say, I'm sorry. This is where, you know, and you can't stay there and say, well, this is my nature. No, you have to adapt that, because if you see certain things now, they will build up and become a wave or a big stone for somebody else, boy or girl.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember the home is the nursery, where you are grooming these individuals that will be leaders of tomorrow. So if you suppress the children's feelings and so expressions, it will blow up when they grow up, and in a way that will not be, you will not like it. So we want to be sure that we raise stable, holistic children who are stable. Praise the Lord. That's my.
Praise God. I mean, we got told no. It's not that the kids are
Oh,
running the
yeah.
house. We got lots of no.
But we, like she said, that's a prom example. We knew how we wanted to raise these children, godly and everything. So when all of that things came from side, we said no. But those no's were explained. In People's Court, we explained how you could not date before certain age, and they did not like it, but we also had that in People's Court. These are our reasons for saying no. And they understood it, may not have liked it, but it's helped them and helped us too.
Yeah. There are only some things you could be persuasive about. I think I enjoy People's Court because it was like a game of persuasion. And there's some things that are value-based decisions that you can't sway because they are attached to the values of your family. But there are other things that it's like, well, we haven't thought about it from that perspective, and you're able to persuade from your perspective. So I think all in all, it was a good exercise. I will say every child has a different version of their parents. So my relationship with my parents is very specific to me. And I know, I'm saying that because I know my siblings have a very different understanding and feeling about People's Court. So I think like you can always adapt it to who is in your actual family. And if People's Court doesn't happen the way that we did it, you can always figure out like, do people like to talk? Would they rather do it over a meal? Would they rather do it in writing, or, you know, record something and send it in? Whatever it is, but be flexible. But I thought it was an amazing exercise for transparency, vulnerability, and like communication, like really raw. And I like the thing about, I don't think that you shouldn't cry. I don't think that's what my dad was saying. But like this idea that you are able to feel the emotions that you feel, but compose yourself enough to communicate your things. Because there will be times where you're like, and like, okay, everyone will wait for you to finish crying. Like,
what he was saying, don't cry and talk.
Yeah. Feel all your feelings, cry it out, do all the things.
Then, are you done crying? Okay, now can we hear what you are saying?
Yeah, you're a lawyer. You are your lawyer.
Yeah, you're defending yourself in the court of law.
Yeah. So why do you take change yourself? You know, so this is what is hurting is you. So you are giving
and you know it best.
Yeah, hey, you have a venue. So say, and the good thing is you are not going to be blamed or to be spanked for doing that. Even if you're feeling, so this is how I feel, this is what happened, that's why I did that. And everybody will listen. And then at the end of it, we'll now put it together. Okay, we are hearing you. This is what you're saying. All right, but this happened. Then we resolve it there and a prayer. And we've started every People's Court with prayer and ended with prayers.
So that is how we did it, and that is how, I don't know, I feel super comfortable with my parents, and I'm grateful because I feel like, I feel heard, I feel understood, And I always say that, like, God knows the kind of parents that you need, and He gives them to you. And, you know, not every parent knows what they're doing, but the Lord guides them. And this was one of the exercises, one of the many in our family that I thought was like, mwah, chef's kiss. I will definitely do it when I have kids.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's People's Court. If you had any questions about that, leave me comments below. Did you have anything similar? Did you hear anything today that you might want to try with your kids, the ones you have now or the ones you have in the future? Let us know. Okay, bye y'all. Take care.
Bye. Thank you for listening.